The day is finally here. I feel ready. How do you review a movie that means pretty much everything to you as far as horror goes, but also as far as film goes? This is my #1 movie of all time. I give you Halloween Revisited. What's up, guys? Welcome to my third Halloween Revisited review. I've already done Halloween 6 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I had so much fun doing these revisited reviews because it gives me more of a chance to add a little bit more production value, to go a little bit more in depth, and really carte blanche to do whatever I want. I don't have to follow the review norms that I usually do. And I love this franchise so much, and the mistake I made, not really a mistake, but it was the first franchise that I decided to review when I started my YouTube channel back in January 2015. So I started doing these reviews, I believe in February or March of 2015. And I think I probably should have waited to do my favorite movies until I kind of got really settled in, I guess you could say, with YouTube. But there are a few things that I definitely want to go over about this movie that maybe I didn't touch on as much in my first review. Plus, my first review is only like 5 minutes long. To me, it felt kind of rushed, so I definitely want to dig just a little bit deeper this go around. So let's start with the backstory of John Carpenter's Halloween. Irwin Yablans is really the guy that we have to thank for getting the ball rolling with Halloween. He's the one that came up with this initial idea of setting a movie on Halloween night and calling it Halloween. That was the initial thought. There wasn't a full story there, but it was an opportunity because there hadn't been a movie with the title Halloween before that. As a matter of fact, there really wasn't a movie that was based on the actual holiday of Halloween before that. And along comes this young director, John Carpenter, who did Assault on Precinct 13. And really, this was his golden opportunity. He already had so much talent, and this was his chance to really make his mark. And boy did he, because Halloween is still highly relevant. It shocks me, year after year, it seems like the movie gets even more popular, especially every October. It's constantly in every top 10 list for greatest horror movies of all time. And a big major reason for that is John Carpenter taking this project with little to no money and making it one of the greatest horror films of all time. Not an easy feat. So we're gonna dig a little deeper into finding out why this movie works so well. First off, the way the film is shot. John Carpenter decided, let's don't shoot this movie like 16mm in 1:8:5 ratio. Let's do this in a wide screen, a 2:3:5 ratio. Let's make this look cinematic. Let's put most of our money into the actual cameras. At the end of the day, this movie is gonna be there forever. So in 50 years from now, I want people to see this movie and say, wow, this looks like a $20 million movie. When in fact, it is only $320,000, and $20,000 of that goes to Donald Pleasance. But it goes farther than just film stock. You have to have a director with a distinct vision. If you watch Halloween, you can tell that every scene is carefully thought out. What is in the foreground? What is in the background? When will the killer strike? What does the killer look like? Everything in Halloween has a purpose. It really is, and I said this in my first review, it really is a perfect storm of filmmaking. I think a lot of directors, when they go into not just horror, but any movie, not having a distinct vision can really hurt you. If you just focus on one aspect, be it cinematography, be it getting a big actor, at the end of the day, what does that really say about your movie if only one of those aspects is, 10 out of 10, top notch, and everything else falls beneath it? That's why Halloween works so well, because you had Dean Cundey as the cinematographer. You had one of the most iconic scores of all time. You had that innocence of the actors with Jamie Lee Curtis, PJ Souls. And then you had this great sort of mentor-teacher character in Dr. Loomis.
You should have told somebody. I told everybody! Nobody listened. There's nothing else I can do. You can get back in there and get back on that telephone, tell him exactly who walked out of here last night, and tell him exactly where he's going.
Whose subject really just went awry, because how do you control pure evil? Now, I like visiting film locations. I actually did it with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because I'm a couple hours away from Covington, Georgia. I drove 15 hours just to see the Meyers house. That's how much this movie means to me. I visited the house, which is right next to the hardware store. I visited the iconic Bush. And this was back in 2010, and it's still one of my fondest memories. This was on my bucket list. And my biggest regret is not actually getting video footage of that journey. I only got these pictures that you see in front of you. And the story of that house is so interesting because it came this close to being torn down. But a local horror fan literally jumped in front of the bulldozer, waving his arms about, saying, "Hey, do you know what house this is? Please do not tear it down." The guy ended up buying the house for $1, and the city said, "You just need to get it moved," and that's what he did. It's crazy to me to think that that house was this close to being completely gone from history, but it still stands today in South Pasadena. And the house is really a major part of the movie, possibly more than most of the sequels actually. There's a few key scenes that actually take place in that house. Probably the most iconic being the scene with Dr. Loomis when he tells Sheriff Brackett what this town is dealing with.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
That scene really set up how evil Michael Myers is, because before that scene, all we knew is that this mental patient escaped the ward and he was on the loose in Haddonfield, Illinois. And Dr. Loomis is going out of his way to capture the guy. But this scene is where he tells Sheriff Brackett, "This is the problem that you're dealing with. If we do not catch this guy, he will not stop. He will try his best to kill whoever it is he's after."
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
The guy literally sat in a room staring at a wall for 15 years, patiently waiting. And I remember the first time I saw that scene, it scared me to death, really. Just the thought of not even seeing a character, but hearing about a character scaring the life out of me is a testament to how effective this movie is. To be able to scare the audience without showing any blood is a true testament in tension. Now, one of my favorite scenes in Halloween is actually the first scene before we even see Michael Myers in the iconic mask. It really sets up the tone of this movie. Dr. Loomis and the nurse there, on their way to pick up Michael Myers from the mental ward, they want to transfer him for a court hearing. And Dr. Loomis tells her that what they are dealing with is pure evil.
You ever done anything like this before?
Only minimum security.
Thanks.
The only thing that ever bothers me is their gibberish. When they start raving on and on.
You haven't anything to worry about. He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
And she needs to make sure she takes this situation completely seriously. But one of the creepiest scenes in this movie for me is once they pull up to the hospital and you see all the mental patients in the gowns and they're just strolling the yard. They're not running, they're barely walking. And then Myers leaps on the hood of the car and smashes the window. Mental patients freak me out to begin with. From that scene, you knew that the rest of this movie was going to be completely serious, not tongue-in-cheek. They were not playing around. This was going to be a dark movie. Another one of my favorite scenes is the laundry scene when Annie is about to meet her ultimate demise. And that scene is the ultimate portrayal of cat and mouse, really. Myers is not there to just straight out kill his victims. He wants to toy with them. He wants to make them literally go crazy before he finally strikes. And I love the use of the foregrounds and the backgrounds when you see Myers' face pop in and out of frame. The scene was shot for 50 cents, but it is just completely genius. Still to this day, this is the template on how to scare an audience. There are many ways to scare an audience, but this is one of the most effective. And the last scene I want to talk about is the scene where Laurie actually walks over to Lindsay's house and she finds all the dead bodies. Before this scene, everything was really slow, really quiet, but this is the scene where, you know, they go for broke. Okay, the movie is about to wrap up. We're gonna give it to you all in just one fell swoop. And when that music kicks on after Laurie finds the bodies, It gets your heart pounding fast. And the thought of walking into a bedroom and seeing a tombstone sitting upright on somebody's bed with a dead body in front of it, that would make for a horrible babysitting experience. And I can't cut this review off without talking about Meyers. Michael Meyers to me is the greatest horror icon ever. And that's for a few reasons. First off, the mask is just the creepiest mask that I've ever seen. I love the story of when they got this mask. The first mask was a clown mask. And then the second mask was the William Shatner mask that we all know and love. The reaction on everybody's face in the crew when they first saw this mask after it was painted is just priceless. I love that part of the documentary when Tommy Lee Wallace is talking about that experience, and from that instant, everybody knew, oh, this is perfect. This is really gonna kill it for our movie. But also, Meyers really is not like Jason at all. He's not like Freddy at all. And if you look at the kill scenes, they're not the greatest kill scenes out of the horror icons, but I think they're the most effective because of how primal they are. They get right down to the point because you don't have to be really showy about Meyers' kills. The character himself is so creepy, and you can't really see him doing a kill like Jason would do a kill or like Freddy would do a kill. It doesn't really fit his MO. Meyers is the only icon that has ever given me nightmares. I have had numerous nightmares about Meyers throughout my life, but never any of the other characters. Only Meyers. And that's because he is pure evil. And then that ending when he falls off the balcony and then Dr. Loomis looks down, and before they even show it, when they show Loomis's face, you automatically know he's gone. That scene with the music completely sends chills down my spine every time I see it, and I've seen the movie more than any other movie in my life. That's how effective Halloween is. So guys, I'm changing my rating for Halloween. I've used the unicorn rating for The Dark Knight, and now I'm using it for Halloween. This movie means everything to me. This movie means everything to a lot of people, really. People still talk about it. It's probably one of the most talked about movies on Killer Flicks, and it's probably one of the most studied horror films. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on Halloween? Looking forward to hearing them. And if you're wondering if I'm gonna do a revisited series for the sequels, yes, I definitely plan on it. So anyway, guys, make sure you check out the Killer Flicks Facebook group where we talk horror all day, every day. If you look down below, you can see all my social media links. If you like what I'm doing, please click that subscribe button. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day, and drum-dum out.